You. We're live. Okay, cool. Yo, what's up? It's Noah Hawes here at Elementz, and welcome to this episode of our podcast about the 2021 inauguration. With me, I have 4 youth or young adult, teenagers and young adults, and we'll go around the room and let them introduce themselves, starting with you.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Jones, and I am a junior at the School for Creative and Performing Arts.
No fact. Big cap.
Yeah, no,
All lies.
not
Actually, that's not who she is.
No.
This is actually Ariana Grande.
Hey.
We got on our podcast. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. I'm Lundgren, and I'm also a junior at the School for Creative and Performing Arts.
Okay. Does the cafeteria in SCPA look creative, or is it just bland and normal?
It's fine. It's basically just a cafeteria, I think.
The presentation of the food when they... No, I'm just playing.
It's not gourmet.
Subpar, at best.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, I'm Nico Luginbill. I'm a sophomore at Walnut Hills High School.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Destiny Lewis.
Mhm.
I am a graduate from Robert A. Taft Technology High School.
I didn't know all of that was attached to it. People just say Taft.
Yeah,
Robert A. Taft.
Robert A. Taft Information Technology High School. Ain't nobody finna say all that, but it's Taft. I'm from Taft.
What does the A stand for? Is that like the Taft's middle name?
You know what?
Might be Alfred from
I
Batman.
think it's Alfred or Albert or something like that. Somebody told me and I forgot.
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah,
I'm just playing. Okay, well, we could just go dive on into our podcast. So, did anyone watch the inauguration? Everybody, the whole thing, the whole live stream?
I've seen some of it.
I was in school, man.
Yeah, it's history class.
I had
I
it
didn't
pulled
watch
up live next to my Zoom classes. I watched the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. So, most of us watched it after the fact, like after the live stream.
Yeah.
But you watched it during class,
Yes,
so you a thug.
yes. That's exactly it.
Did you watch all 12?
Yeah, I started the live stream as Kamala and Joe Biden were getting out of the limousines on the lawn, and I ended it after Amanda Gorman's poem.
Okay, we're going to talk about her poem later,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, that was amazing. And any highlights, anything that really stood out to you?
One, having Sotomayor swearing Kamala Harris
Sonia Sotomayor?
as a little mixed girl, watching that happen was just, it was a moment for me. I cried.
Mhm.
And then J-Lo also had me in tears. Just as my summary, those were the moments that had me just sobbing.
That's what's up. What about you, my guy, Lincoln, not Abraham?
No, sir. I was a fan of the poem, but I feel like that's kind of a basic answer. I enjoyed the message. I appreciated Biden's inaugural address.
Mhm.
And I was really interested in the performance by Garth something or another. Garth Brooks, is that his name?
Oh, the country singer?
Yeah, that.
Garth Brooks. That'll be Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I watched like a little bit of it live. I watched from I think it was Amy Klobuchar speaking up to J-Lo's performance, and then I had class. That was sad. But what I watched, it was really, it was a nice experience for me, my first inauguration, so that was fun.
Okay.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'm not really that politically involved, to be honest with you. I have seen the Bernie Sanders memes, and
Yes.
I have been thoroughly entertained.
Indeed.
But no, seriously, I listened to the poem, and I was just like, wow, that's a moment right there. That is a huge moment. It was really giving me the poem we really needed type vibes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was really giving me. And I watched it like 3 times just to make sure I could like really grasp everything that she was saying, because it was so heavy and it was so well written and in detail. And I was like, she did that.
Okay, cool.
Snaps.
Yeah, for sure.
We
All
snapped.
the snaps.
We snapped some poems.
Thanos was in the crowd, too,
See?
and he was snapping.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. That's the reason Trump's administration is
Oh
over,
my-
because Thanos snapped it away. Okay. Let me think. What was my favorite part? Okay, there were several parts, and none of them kind of have to deal with the actual speeches or the performances. The Bernie Sanders memes. I saw him. Before the meme started, I think, I actually saw him sitting there, and I immediately thought he looked hilarious. And then they happened to make memes, so that was one of my favorite parts. And then there was a moment where let me think. Somebody was wearing some Air Jordan, like designer Air Jordan sneakers, and they were just in the background, and that caught my attention too. I don't even remember what was going on. I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. and the poem too. But those two were my favorite parts. Those got me the most hype. I know that's probably bad, but
it's not bad at all.
those are my favorite parts. Shout out Bernie Sanders for making his memes into sweaters. Did y'all hear about that? He made them into sweaters to raise money for I forget the name of the charity, or maybe several charities.
Yeah, I think it was one. I forget what it was called though, so I don't know why I knocked.
I was like, okay, Bernie, okay.
Marketing.
He saw the opportunity and took it.
He did.
Yes,
He did.
sir.
That's a politician for you.
Shout out. Shout out Bernie Sanders. So what significance did this I said podcast, wow, this inauguration in particular, 'cause I know you've probably seen the Trump's inauguration too, but this one I feel like is more significant to us than definitely Trump's.
Mm-hmm.
But what significance does it have? And if it doesn't have any significance, why not? Anyone can go.
I got. What were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Just fight, and whoever wins.
For me, it was, super significant because Trump got elected when I was in 6th grade, and before that, like, I didn't know anything about politics. Like, the whole time I've been involved with politics, Trump has been president. So I'm just so accustomed to that, and it feels like, it's like shocking for me that like Donald Trump won't be the president of the, country, because that's been my whole life, and it means so much to me to just, it's so relaxing, and I don't know, it was really a good feeling to, like, I couldn't even process it. I was like, Trump isn't president anymore. Oh my God. Like, yeah. So it means a lot.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, what were you gonna say? You good? Okay. You sure? Okay. No, but seriously, I can relate to what you were saying about Trump becoming president. I think I was a junior in high school or something like that, or I don't remember what grade I was. I was a junior. And when I woke up that morning, or when I went to bed that morning, I was like, okay, all right, Hillary's got this, whatever. I'm not worried. Whatever. And I woke up and I was like, what is that?
What is that
mean? What does this mean? Yo, I don't. And the thing was, I had never been politically involved, but the buildup, you know what I'm saying, from social media, Trump himself with all them crazy tweets as he was going through, as he was running for president, and I'm just like, it really showed me what America really looks like. You know what I'm saying? As far as political views go, and, what really is in the center of, the origins of America. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, oh. And my English teacher, who was a black man, he was in the Army. I think he was a Navy SEAL or something like that. Oh. And he's very politically involved, a Republican. As a black man, Trump supporter at that. So he was explaining to us impeachment, and impeachment was already in our minds being that young. It was just like, okay, so how do we get him out of there? But I remember what he told me was specifically impeachment is not about getting the president out of office. It's basically about shaming and just like being like bad. Not like a slap on the wrist. It's serious, but it's like, it's not like we're just going to have to sit here for 4 more years and just be like Bernie Sanders with the mittens. It was tough. It was tough. And so, especially, being, a black woman or black young lady, a black young woman at that time, it was just like, you lose faith in your country. You lose faith in your government's ability to, stand up for what's right. But what's right is not always the same in other people's eyes. And it's just like realizing that you're just like, I thought everybody knew that we wasn't with that. I thought that that's what that was, but I was wrong. And I just had to figure that out. I'm like, okay.
The inauguration, for me, my family, we've always had a kind of culture of paying attention to the political climate and like political media, especially. Like I remember when I was really little having conversations with my parents, like way back when it was Obama v. Romney. And we were like, what are these campaign commercials showing our children it's okay to do with their competitors in the public eye? Like these are ruthless personal attacks. This is not how we should see. It's like watching the principal throw a fit and get a detention. It's like we're watching this. And so we've been very, very focused on the past 4 years with the media and the very childlike way things are being run in the Capitol. And so we paid attention to every inauguration. My mom took me out of school when Obama was inaugurated. We cried when Trump was inaugurated, all that. So at this inauguration, we got to have that conversation of now as a nation, we can move forward with a more professional media and a more moderate electorate that can really get us back to a productive governance, which was really a celebratory. It felt like the sun was shining brighter on Inauguration Day and like a weight was lifted because we could now be professional. So that was cool.
Okay. What about you, my man, Lincoln?
I guess I would say I have been thoroughly disappointed with Trump's behavior in the weeks leading up to election day, and it began I always thought that comparing Trump to Hitler and stuff was overblown, and I wasn't really a big fan of that. And then he started acting in ways reminiscent of totalitarian dictators and interfering with processes that keep democracy ahead. So I was in the last election. I again was kind of same story. I was in 7th grade, so I wasn't super into politics. I didn't know what was going on, but I was not crazy against Trump. I saw him as he obviously said some stuff, but he was in support of an economic kind of policy that I supported, again with limited knowledge. But I feel like that's generally how a lot of people saw it. But then in this election, seeing tendencies toward totalitarianism, I've really seen Biden winning as a necessity. And then his focus on unity in the inauguration, I thought, was exactly what America needed at this current moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, word up. I was so focused on I was going to have an answer too, but I was like, yeah. I was in agreement with yours. Did you have something you want to say?
What Lincoln said about not thinking of Donald Trump as a totalitarian dictator, that I've been thinking a lot about that in the past few days, because okay, you look at Hitler and you look at his rise to power, and everyone's always like, how did people let this happen? Didn't they see the warning signs? But we're not learning from history. Because after the beer hall putsch, where Hitler did his own little, we're the Nazis and we're the big bad guys and we're going to do an insurrection thing, Hitler went to a rich white guy prison, and that's how we got Mein Kampf, and that's how we got the Nazi movement. So if Trump isn't going somewhere like Rikers or San Quentin, this is not going to end here. This is not, justice needs to be served, or you're going to see that martyrdom of that political figure with the fascist tendencies and totalitarian tendencies he's shown.
Yeah, I'm just hoping he's gonna die soon. What?
Hey, you know what? The average lifespan isn't it 70 something?
Yeah,
isn't he right there now?
He's clearly not that healthy, and I don't wish death upon him. But would it be that sad? It would be convenient in terms of not becoming Hitler
With all the preservatives and Cheetos, though, we gonna
Are you
keep him around
saying-
for a long time.
Are you saying it would be convenient for him to die so he doesn't turn into someone like Hitler?
Convenient for our democracy.
But you know what? I was, thinking about what you were saying about not seeing him as that. I also feel like I agree with what you're saying as well, but I also feel like the media played a huge part in it because we mostly were just making fun of the guy. Like we thought he was funny. I mean, Alec Baldwin is living rent free in my mind right now, even till this day. It's just the acting skills. It's just and it reminds me a lot of political cartoons and how we, make fun of the states of things in general in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just it kind of makes light of it, which is a good thing. But as well, it makes it a lot harder to feel the weight of having a bigot in the office of, democracy or a country that's supposed to represent such things. So, I mean, SNL, come on now. No, I'm not putting SNL, but seriously, it played a huge part of it because, especially being in quarantine, we make fun of them more because we don't have a lot to do.
Right, you just in the house all day. Might as well.
You on Zoom meeting, looking at your phone and stuff.
For sure.
So yeah.
Next question.
Yeah, sure.
What is the next one?
Why does Trump look like a no?
Crusty, dusty, rusty. No.
Dang.
Hey, for him. She was ready.
Yeah, she was right. All right. Their speeches. I wanted to talk about. I mean, Trump's speech. His speech kind of seemed like, "Look at all this greatness I did. Y'all better remember me." And Biden's speech was more like, "We still have a very, very long way to go. We've done certain things that are good, but it's all and it's part of the journey. We're definitely not at the end yet." I wanted to ask how you felt about the two speeches, and do you think that Trump's speech made him look like more of a bigot than he already is? Because he was kind of being arrogant with what he said, and he was like, "Remember us when da-da-da-da happens, be careful," all this type of crazy stuff. So if you heard their speech, if you didn't hear it, you don't have to answer this question. But if you heard their speeches and you have an answer, go right on ahead.
The speeches really reminded me of one thing, and it's the big question that I think was posed during this most recent election. And the best way I can summarize it is Kendrick's most recent thesis, I guess, wickedness versus weakness. You got that question of, do you move forward in spite, anger, and seeking revenge, or do you move forward in empathy and calculation and humanitarianism? And while one can be seen as strong and one can be seen as weak, one can also be seen as ruthless while one is seen as endearing. So I think the speeches themselves posed the question we've all been afraid to ask ourselves. As a democracy, as a capitalist society, do we move forward with this ideology of I work for me, and who is with me, and if we're getting what's good, that's all that matters? Or do we move forward with, hold up, we've had a large period of just crazy, crazy stuff going down. We got to go in and do some rescue efforts, like after a hurricane, and just get back to an even playing field so that we can do something that's working for the majority of the populace again. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think at this current moment, America is super polarized, and I mean, this is no secret, but if you look at elections past in the 60s or something, it was such a big percentage of the population was willing to change their mind and swing with who they thought is the better person. In these elections, it's 10% or something of the populace decides the election. And I think that is really a problem on many levels, but specifically because it shows people who will blindly vote Republican or Democrat, and that shows divisiveness that I think we really need to address. And I think Biden is in a position to do that. I think he's got control of both houses. he is like in all the power. I think that his presidency could be used to further a lot of Democrat like agendas, and that could be what he does. I hope that he doesn't, and he focuses. I mean, like some things you got to address, like particularly climate change and COVID. I think are two that are like scientifically should not have room for debate. But for the most part, I think that his presidency should be focused on uniting America under like America rather than separate parties.
Yeah. Okay. It definitely kind of sounded like that too when I was I even read it after I heard it. I read it too, which I normally don't do, but I read that one for sure, and it felt like that's what he was trying to get across. That was the message he was trying to get across. We're America. We're not just Democrats or Republicans and whatnot.
Yeah, I was happy with it. That seemed like the message that he was going.
Did you know I wrote that speech?
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually there.
You got bars, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that was me.
You're Biden's ghostwriter.
I definitely am Biden's ghostwriter.
But you're not a ghost no more.
Stay woke.
You're not
The
a ghostwriter
government.
no
No,
more.
Did anybody else have any takeaways or?
Yeah, well, I didn't even know Trump gave an inauguration speech or something like that, but I can imagine what it was like. But I did watch Biden's speech, and I think going for a message of unity was a really good choice at this time. I mean, we're so divided. I spend too much time on Twitter and like looking at comments under any sort of post, even if it's not political. One person will like have pronouns in their bio, and then like 5 people will be like, I hate you. You've ruined America. And then like 25 people will respond to them. It's like people just hate each other instantly for different opinions and for being the other party. And I mean, Trump has definitely made that worse during his presidency. I think, yeah, Biden really, it was a good idea for him to go with the message of unity, especially after 4 years of one of the most divisive presidents ever.
Yeah. I did not see the speeches, but honestly, when I think of Trump making a speech, and I've seen him make plenty of speeches, I just don't feel like, how can I put this into words? When people look back into history and see everything that this man has done, it's like you're not necessarily, and this is what any person or any politician as a leader, you're not really going to be remembered too much for what you said as much of what you did and the things that happened around you being in charge. And so with the pandemic, Black Lives Matter, I'm not saying the pandemic's not his fault. I'm not trying to say that, but it's just like he's making it worse by, making an idiot out of himself. So the things that comes out of his mouth, while he's thinking, oh, I'm a legend, or, you can't touch me. And, maybe there are some people that think that way, but for the majority, you just look really stupid. You look really stupid because a lot of things have already happened and you're not making them any better. So, yeah.
But like with the internet, people have news and the seeking of information has become so polarized that people will only seek out news sources that verify their own beliefs. Like you can, if you're anti-vax, you can Google a document that says like why vaccines give kids autism, and then you have that as evidence, air quotes, of your argument. So what people see in Trump when he does that sort of childlike belligerence on national television is somebody who's never going to tell them they're wrong as long as they back him. And he really has a cult following, as we saw at the Capitol mere weeks ago, and those are the people that we got to be worried about, because you look at, the psychological effects of cults, and people have been led to like mass suicide, mass violence, stuff like that, and it's not any different with a politician.
Exactly.
So that crazy stuff that we're like, oh, that is so off the cuff.
Yeah.
Is exactly what appeals to those extremists.
People like drama.
People like drama.
Whether people like to admit it or not. And I feel like that's a little bit in everybody. Just a little bit of everybody likes some kind of drama, something. I don't care if it's a TV show. I don't care if it's a TV show or politics or something or whatever, or in music or love and hip hop. I don't care what it is, whatever. Somebody likes some kind of drama. But the worst kind of drama is the extremely destructive kind that causes, like you said, like shit to happen, like, like Hitler. You know what I mean? Like just like mass, like genocide, and just like deciding to like be like a huge bigot to people who are not like you or you feel like are inferior to you. And so, yeah.
Drops mic, leaves.
Yeah. White supremacy is a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I was about to say again because you threw me off with the white supremacy is a cult. You think they have like it's probably kind of like the YMCA maybe? You make a membership, you got to pay a monthly fee.
That's called the KKK.
You're right. You ain't wrong.
What's the next question?
Okay, yeah. Our next question. It's actually about the Amanda Gorman's poem, "The Hill We Climb." And did everyone see the poem?
I have notes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you have notes. Here's business. Okay, so
I can't remember nothing.
well, before we go dive into the questions about the poem, what are some of your takeaways from the poem? Highlights, or just initial thoughts?
I love her coat.
You know what?
Yellow coat. Nobody's talking about it.
I'm
I'm just like, what's going on?
It really was her color.
Trending. See, Bernie stole all the thunder.
It wasn't
I'm
his
not okay
fault.
with it.
It wasn't Bernie's
It's
fault.
the mittens. It was the mittens for me. It was the mittens.
They put him in all the memes.
You know what? No, but seriously, her poise is like, you can tell that she takes a lot of inspiration from Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou,
She
yeah.
takes a lot of inspiration from her. Her poise and her grace, and yet, it's like professionalism, but it's just like such hopefulness. It's like she's taking you into battle with like that speech, that movement. And it's just like, you could tell it was a labor of love, because it was just like one of those things where it's just like endurance. And it's just like, as a Black person, watching your people go through so many struggles and being able to laugh, being able to make joy, make music, create inspiration for people, and, be in positions of leadership and make people happy. That if you can make people happy, you have a true gift. And her speech, it gave me happiness in a time where it's hard to find something like that. It's hard to feel something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt, that she did her job. She did. They called her. She was like, "I'm on my way. Here I come." Like, don't make me get on that mic. Let me.
Oh, they gave her 2 mics.
Oh, you know what? Excuse me. I only have one. And my coat is tan, so I can't.
It's not yellow.
Not yellow.
Anybody else? Initial takeaways, thoughts?
I thought it was really incredible. I mean, I only watched it once, actually, in English class after, like, the inauguration. But, I mean, everything about it was just so, like, it felt almost, like, unreal. Like, I mean, she's this 21-year-old Black woman.
22.
22, okay.
Oh, dang.
I'm sorry.
I got my
just
facts
came
wrong.
for you. I'm sorry.
I swear my English teacher said 21. So blame her. No, but, young. And
Yeah.
I mean, I won't be doing that in like 7 years. I mean, it's so impressive. All the words were so, it was so well written, and she delivered it so well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't even remember specific things, but like, I remember watching it and I was like, wow, this is powerful. Like, it made a statement and she made it well.
Okay. I actually have a confession. I lied about writing Joe Biden's speech. She actually wrote it.
No.
See,
But she told me that I could get the
I
credit.
thought it was, that when I heard, I thought it was either you or her. It had to be one of the two.
Only 2 options.
Or Eminem. I don't know.
Or Eminem.
Or Jay-Z.
Ho.
So,
Anybody? Go ahead.
One of the things about her speech that really had a big impact, at least on me, was that she was young, and she, not only because she was young, but because she was young and just a brilliant writer, she echoed the sentiment of what I think is a majority of young people right now, where before we get to voting age, or as we come of voting age and are of voting age, we want to get back to a more conversational democracy as opposed to like a militarist democracy that we've fallen into kind of since March. As we sort of climb that hill, so to speak, where every once in a while we ask ourselves kind of as young people, dang, are the adults really going to be bad people again? No. They got to have some humanity. You know, they're going to do the right thing this time. And then we see humanity fail over and over again. We're finally getting to a point where we can begin to start this long chug to that more civil discourse,
Yeah.
which is tight. And she did a really good job of kind of pulling at the ethos of people, you know, at everybody's heartstrings, not only with her words, but with her performance. Because anybody can like write bars, but not anybody can say them well and deliver them with that much conviction and genuine passion. So that's what made it like hit.
It's a chart topper, no doubt.
Oh, hey.
Yes, it's you. No, I'm just playing.
I guess, yeah, I would probably just be echoing the sentiments of everybody, but I think like the elegance, but at the same time the passion that was poured into it, and like the poise of it was incredible. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, so you couldn't give her 11 out of 10, maybe 100 out of 10. Just 10, huh?
I'm just gonna throw out there that
It's
that
too
is
late.
statistically
You
impossible.
cannot redeem yourself, sir.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so her poem had a theme of optimism
Yeah.
and hopefulness, and I just wanted to ask if you all feel hopeful about this new administration, and why do you feel hopeful, aside from like, you know, it not being Trump anymore?
You know, like I said, on Inauguration Day and almost like the 3 days after Inauguration Day, the sun was shining. And to come home, like I watched the inauguration, I went to dance class, I came home, kind of got all the updates on what had been happening throughout the day. And to come home and see that not only were we back in the Paris Accord, you know, the Muslim bans on travel were over, you know, the national emergency declared to send military funding to the wall was cut, that was halted. The stuff that we had been forced to live with for the past 4 years and forced to say, I'm not doing anything about this human atrocity or this thing that's in the long term going to be terrible for my country at this moment. All that stuff kind of got lifted where we got back to sort of a rational leader. So in that Inauguration Day, there was so much hope because we had somebody saying like, whoa, climate change is real first, let's start with that. And so we got problems actually solved
Yeah.
and on the road to being solved. So yeah, I had a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope.
Yeah.
For sure. I saw when Trump got out of the plane during the inauguration, he didn't even have a mask on. Or Melania. I don't even think she had a mask on.
When have they ever? I don't think I've ever seen Trump with a mask
And I was like, dude.
once. I think like once, and they were booing him at the White House. Okay, let me stop.
Yeah, I was like, you clowning. You need to chill. Everybody, and then you look at the actual inauguration procession. Everybody had masks on. Joe Biden, everybody who was around
Mike
him had
Pence.
masks on. Yeah, everybody. It was like, yo, why don't you have a mask on? Didn't you have a COVID-19 situation too?
Yeah.
And you still don't?
He got it.
All right. Anyway, I got off track. I went on a tangent about Trump. It's his fault. Did anybody else feel? Why do you feel optimistic about this new administration?
I wouldn't necessarily say I feel optimistic.
Oh snap!
I feel good about having, you know, somebody in there that's, you know, the first black, you know, female vice president. I feel good about having Biden in. I feel good about them. The state of the country, I've never really felt optimistic about necessarily. I feel like there's a lot of work to do. And the Capitol riots, you know, it wasn't like the cherry, you know, on top of the ice cream or anything, but it was just like, it was a reminder of how much work there is to be done because he got elected. He is president. I looked at, when I was watching the poem that she was doing, it said under the video in big bold letters that Biden is president. We have the facts, we have the voting, and it's just like to have to reassure these people who are going up to, you know, one of the biggest symbols in our country of our democracy, and putting, you know, nooses and saying these things and just it's just a constant reminder. And what she said about that being American is more than a pride. We inherit the past. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. You have to step into the past if you want to do anything about your future. You don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. That's my whole thing. And I feel like there's, it's the Capitol riots were proof that people still are not ready to admit the past. They're not ready to admit that Biden is president. They're not ready to admit that Kamala is vice president and black and a woman. And, let alone that the atrocities that have, happened to our country and to people and to this land itself. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done.
For sure.
And so optimistic, not yet. Hopeful, okay. I can do that. I'm hopeful enough. Because there are people that know what they're doing. And, places like Elementz, that gave me hope through my childhood and, my growing up as a young lady. And, just people in my life that I've had that have taught me these things. And there are people that do know right from wrong. And as much as people try to blur the lines, we know that, attacking other people and for, how they look or what they do and how they worship is not okay. So I'm hopeful.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do hopeful.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. And sort of, I'm not too optimistic about the future of our country as a whole, but I am definitely optimistic about the Biden administration. I mean, especially most of that comes just in comparison to Trump's. I mean, Trump had quite possibly the worst presidential administration ever. I mean, it was a complete disaster, and Biden has, qualified people as his cabinet, and, seeing his new press secretary. I mean, it's impressive because Trump's press secretaries have been a disaster, but and not only because I do think Biden will mostly seem good compared to Trump, but I know there's a very large faction of Democrats who were like, settle for Biden. We hate him, but we hate Trump more. And while Biden's record is definitely not too good, and he's been in politics for 47 years, and that, that's a good point to make. I think Biden after Trump's 4 years is going to be different from Biden before Trump's 4 years. Like, even though he's like corrupt politician and like stuff like that, I think Trump's 4 years have had an impact on him for sure, and his views and his, I think he will be Biden. If Biden had been elected and Trump hadn't been president, I don't think Biden would be all that great, but I think Biden will be much better now, having seen what Trump did wrong and having, like, building off of that. He might be more progressive and push for more change and also bring more unity because, he's seen the disaster that was Trump.
I got you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I personally am kind of scared. I think that this could potentially mark like the beginning of the end of, or like a slow decline in, not necessarily like power or anything, but just like the environment around politics in general. I think that with the Capitol riots, that was a point where we had a chance to like 100% like, what do you call it? Denounce it and like make sure that like everybody knew that that was not okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that I've heard a statistic that around 70% of Republicans think that the election was rigged. I'm not sure how true that is, but if it's anywhere near that number, I am scared. I think that we really need to get on that fast. We need to make sure that things like that don't become a political precedent, because otherwise, who's to stop there? I mean, like, it could just become crazy partisan, and I'm scared about that. I think that Biden could potentially heal that. Probably not like all in one term, and probably not in 2 terms, but he could begin a process to fix that and change that. So I think it really could swing either way. I'm scared. I'm not necessarily too optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right down the middle.
We just want to see what's gonna happen. we wanna make sure that, you know, things that have happened that shouldn't have will not happen again. So
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next question is actually, now we're talking about the poem. Okay, so Amanda Gorman's poem, "The Hill We Climb." There are two lines that really stuck out to me. It's kind of one line, but you know, for poems, they make it two lines. And it's a question, actually. When day comes, we asked ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? My question is, what do you think she was referring to? Because she could have been referring to a lot of things by never-ending shade. What do you think she was referring to, and then what else could fit for never-ending shade and finding light? I'll go first because I'm that guy. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, the never-ending shade was at the beginning.
Uh-oh, pull out the notes. It's
Okay.
serious business.
Was that the beginning? When can we finally? Yeah, that was the beginning. So in the beginning, when day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? She kind of answered that at the end of her poem, when she said, "For there is always light, but you have to be brave enough to see it, brave enough to be it."
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. What she was referring to about never-ending shade. Where do I start? Everything that's going on with the darkness of the virus that's going on right now, the state of our country, politics, the state of our people, and how, you know, as we all said, divided we are, and how much everyone's true colors have truly shown. It's been insane, and it's like we've had riots in the past few years about, you know, all of 2020, the whole Black Lives Matter thing. It's always been a thing, but it's got more attention because I feel like people were more isolated, and it made it easier for people to pay more attention to things at hand instead of, you know, in their everyday lives. And by being that light, I feel like it's in each other. It's in, you know, the people that we see. It's in conversations like these that, you know, make explanations a little bit easier and make knowledge a little bit more, accessible. And it really opens people's ears, people's minds, and it kind of stops people from, you know, just blurting out things that don't make any sense. It makes it a lot easier when you listen to, you know, things, or when you listen to people who, you know, have more knowledge, or, you know, listen to each other. Your fellow partner, your fellow man. It doesn't have to be, you know, some, you know, I don't know, professor or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It could be a friend of yours. Listen to their opinion and try to take the good out of the bad, and try to understand everything that they're saying, even if you don't understand all of it. Really try to be there for one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The only way out is through, and the only way we're going to get through this is if we put our minds together and try to really communicate. Communication is key in our relationship, and in the relationship of our country, that's going to be key. So that's where it starts.
Okay, communication.
Mm-hmm.
You got your phone bill paid? I'm just
See.
playing. Does anyone else have any other interpretations about light and the never-ending shade?
Yeah. I think when Amanda Gorman's referring to the never-ending shade, part of it is this just like repeated disappointment in our elected leaders, and repeated disappointment in, you know, the people who are supposed to be taking care of our country.
Yeah.
And when she talks about finding the courage to do that, you know, right now it feels like, like you look at the Democratic opinion of Joe Biden, where they're like, you know, Bernie is gonna take us more towards this socialist place, which, you know, there's pros and cons to all that, but people need to maybe not be so afraid to be like, hey, maybe the president should be more moderate if they're going to be a moderator and have the best interest of the people in mind, or the people who aren't afraid to say, yo, maybe we don't need our president to have Twitter. You know, the people who are going to say those controversial things that'll move us in the right direction. Because as soon as those people start coming out and saying, yo, what we've been doing is actually really kind of jacked up, other people will be emboldened by that and not be so afraid to have those opinions that work towards change. And then we can, again, move towards a more understanding populace and a less competitive, I guess, polarized electorate, which will help us fix all the higher ups in the government, which would be nice.
Man, they did ban him off of Twitter. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Twitter's
At
like,
Trump.
Sir, you're done. I have to pull you
They
off this
banned him off
platform.
Twitter, Facebook,
That's funny.
Instagram.
That
They
is
put him off
really
everything.
hilarious.
He get snatched. They said, snatch your phone, throw it in the toilet. You're not
I saw
allowed.
I saw something that he's like starting a like office of the former president, where he's like sending out like official like letters to his supporters, like, you know, because he can't tweet or
I
use
have
social
not heard
media.
that. You know what? I heard something about, what is that app that they're using now?
Parlor.
Yeah, that.
That Parlor is scary.
You know who else has a propaganda subscription?
Who
Like Scientology and and all those, you know, corporate cults that people find themselves in. They're like, yo, how'd I get here? And
Yeah.
then you sign up for the propaganda mailing list.
Yeah.
And you still don't know how you got there.
See, I be feeling that way about regular mailing lists. See, you know, back when I was a vegetarian, I signed up for a few things, you know, thinking like I'm a newbie. This ain't got nothing to do with the company. But they be attacking you in your emails, like we
Attacking
haven't
you?
heard from you in a while. Where you at? I'm like, you're in my spam.
And
my
ima-
spam.
And imagine if that pesky email is saying, yo, I think it's pretty cool that you're a white supremacist. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
Flirty. No.
What if we do an insurrection?
What we do? Weird
Okay,
stuff.
we'll go to our last. Actually,
Are there more?
we don't have a lot of time. We're on a time crunch. We got 5 more minutes. So my last question is kind of two for the price of one. So the impeachment trial, do you think that'll be distracting from anything Joe Biden's administration is doing? And if not, then you can just have final comments. Or if you think it will be or how it will be, you can say that. But
Isn't it like, I heard that is pretty necessary actually, because at first I was like, man, I ain't gonna do nothing, don't nobody care. But, however, he does lose lifelong pension from being president. He also loses,
lifelong going to be that much longer.
he loses security. I can't believe you. No, he loses security detail right from the White House. I don't know all the facts, but he loses a lot of stuff that our government is providing to him just by being a former president. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, and I think, well, if they do convict him, they can vote to make it so that he can't run again for president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That's
I
a
mean,
big one. That's a
Another
big one.
thing, him dying would solve that. But
See?
um,
But until then,
You're gonna end
Until
up on
then,
a
he
watch
hasn't-
list.
Yeah, he's probably on a watch list right now. We're live and everything. Probably found him already.
dude.
What about you two?
I think.
No, you.
I think it is very necessary, and it's very necessary to get it done as soon as possible, because if we let it go on too much longer, people are going to fall back into that. Oh, that little insurrection was a long time ago. Like, what's he doing? He's out of office. But no, we can't let that man run again.
Yeah.
We can't provide him with government funds. We can't have the taxpayers
Yeah.
paying Donald Trump for the rest of his life. So we've lived 7 months with Corona. You know, we've lived 4 years with, you know, ridiculous policies. So if we take just a week to get that through Congress, while we have, you know, some mask mandates and stuff, stricter stuff like that from the Biden administration, we've waited 4 years for this administration. We can put that on the back burner for like a week longer to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Do you have a car? Is it a Lincoln?
It is not, but I have a car.
I just had to make a Lincoln joke. Go ahead. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah. I agree. It's definitely necessary, I think, because what better way to like solidify Trump's reign, or not reign, that sounds, well, maybe rain.
Yeah, I was gonna say rain actually sounds pretty solid for Trump.
Yeah, it needs to go down is like not cool. And that's kind of, I think it's largely symbolic. I'm not entirely sure how like political capital and all that works. So it could very well distract from things that Biden's trying to do, but I agree. I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. I just knew that there was the people have that opinion that they think it's going to be distracting, so I wanted to ask about it.
No, it's a very serious and necessary timeout in the corner. He's
Time out.
very serious.
You can't go to recess.
Yeah.
Give me your juice box. No. But I want to thank you all for coming out. That was actually the last question.
Yay.
Any
you.
closing remarks?
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no
Being here.
problemo.
I think what you're doing here is important because it's important to hear young people talk about the world that they'll be inheriting. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put that on a shirt.
Look at that.
It's going to be a V-neck, but not from Dave. Brought the joke back around. I'm Dave Chappelle. Y'all didn't even know.
Call back.
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Oh Lord.
But if no one else has any closing remarks, I want to thank y'all for coming out. Be safe. Don't eat too much cheesecake. And,
Don't eat too much dairy.
I was just trying to rhyme "be safe" with cheesecake.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No. Thank you though. Thank you. And with that, we are done.
Bad.
Tight.
Or are we farmers? Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.